Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de the sandwich of mad format that I'll be using to talk about Duolingo, aka the app and or website that I'm using to teach myself some French. In case you missed it, merde is French for excrement. So yes, I'll say something nice about Duolingo at the beginning and the end, but the bulk in the middle, not so much. Hey, I'm XenPuck here. Another day not working for the man, but hey, how should I spend all this free time, right? Good thing my wifey has much more concrete life goals than I do, and one of those is just mastering a different language. That's French, right? I'm definitely not calling her basic, but like 99% of American ladies, she, of course, loves all things French. I guess not when it comes to dudes, so thank God for that. Anyway, but yeah, sure, I'm bored. So I'll learn French. If for no other reasons than to prove that I'm smart, right? And I'm also frugal since I'm able to retire early, so obviously I refuse to pay for any language learning programs. At least so far. I reserve the right to cave in on that aspect at an undetermined future. So while I'm generally pretty happy with the free tool that is Duolingo that I've got, right? Today I want to talk about some of the gamified tendencies that's been plaguing the app and maybe some part of the website version of the platform as well, right? Honestly, I also do love games, so you'd think that the combination of games and learning would make me more interested in Duolingo. Alas, sadly, that is not the case. So let's try to break it down a little bit on the issues that I've had with Duolingo, even though generally speaking, I still like it. Okay. Oh, and if you like my ramblings or whatnot, please feel free to subscribe, comment, like, share, and all that social media nonsense. Or whatever, honestly, because I'm old enough to not really care. So yay! So first, I find it somewhat amusing that there is actually a difference in content between Duolingo's app and a web-based version. These are some minor complaints, right? For instance, you can listen to their podcast of slow French or Spanish or whatever, a few other languages, on both type of devices. But they're strangely organized in a different way, and this matters as only listening on the podcast on the mobile devices technically counts as experience points that mark your progress. More on the points later, right? But what's even weirder is that while the full transcript of said podcasts are available, they're only available on the non-mobile version easily, okay? So the ideal way for a new learner to use these podcasts and get around these limitations is literally to listen to the podcast on my device while reviewing the complete transcript on my desktop. If I really want to, the complete picture. What? This is some convoluted design decision that I cannot imagine that it is intentional, right? By the way, randomly, there are also some lessons that are only available on the regular browser versus the mobile app version. Also seemingly without reason, right? Like, I guess maybe to incentivize people to use both? I guess it could be that, but again, it really feels more like there's a lack of cohesion of vision, right, between their app versus non-app developers, right? So number two, really right now my biggest gripe between the app version and the website version that I'd like to note is that on the Duolingo app, mistakes are actually penalized. Yeah, what the F now? I mean, let me say it again with more detail. So you're learning a new language on Duolingo. If you do so on a PC or a laptop or a Mac or whatever, and using the website version, you can make as many mistakes as you want, and that won't stop you from, redoing the lesson again or moving on to a different lesson. Awesome, cool. That's what I expect, right? But if you do the same lessons on the app version, you get to make about 5 mistakes or so before the app will literally make you wait before you could try again or continue. Of course, there's conveniently a way to get around the artificial pause system in the guise of, that's right, in-app purchase. That's the gaming part. Oh my god, that's the crux of my complaint right here, okay? They took literally the worst part of the gaming industry and stuck it into an educational app. Instead of incentivizing you to learn from your mistakes, you're incentivized to either pay or just play extremely slowly and carefully if you don't want to cough up the dough, which is me, right? I often actually wonder how effective these monetization strategies actually are, considering, it is really easy to cheat a language teaching platform on your phone. Does Duolingo know that? I mean, literally, I could just use the built-in translation software / apps that comes with almost every smartphone these days. So not only is this type of monetization kind of awful, but I cannot imagine that it's actually lucrative. I don't know. I don't know their numbers, right? Finally, and this one doesn't even have to do with the app version specifically, right? Just the gamification bit. Now, every week Duolingo also pits you against a random group of strangers to compare your progress against. You know, on the surface, I think this has its ups and downs. After all, for anybody learning a new language on an online platform such as Duolingo, right? I'm assuming you don't have a lot of natural speakers of said language to practice with on a regular basis. I mean, I'm learning French because my wifey wants to go hang out in Paris or Nice or somewhere where they make lots of fancy wine, right? And if we were already in country, I can guarantee you I would just go hire some poor college student to chit-chat with me for a few hours, and that would make faster progress than any app-based platform, right? Alas, here we are, new learners on the internet, and frankly, the beginning of a language learning is mostly a solo endeavor, right? And being compared to a random group isn't inherently a bad idea. I kind of like knowing that I'm putting in more time, say, I don't know, half of my peers. And yet, this social aspect of Duolingo has also taught me that maybe I too am prone to the gamification, pull in a different way, a bad way, right? Because basically every week when you get sorted into a new group, you also compete with them for pride, as top 3 of a leaderboard gets a recorded notch on their record, and the bottom 5 gets relegated to a lower league. Okay, now the actual leaves do not matter at all. Okay, so all of these team-based competitive trophies are essentially just kind of markers of pride and ego. Alas, I find myself trying to get more of said experience points just to get these symbolic notches. Now that I said trying to get points, not learn the language more legitimately. Yep, I am such a creature of ego that I'll use an iPhone, my iPad, and my laptop, and just keep replaying the audio lessons on repeat, right? To get more points so that I can stay near the top of my weekly leaderboard, so I can get essentially what is an adult version of a gold star, right? Instead of actually putting in more effort to learn the foreign language better. Damn you, Duolingo designers. You got me, I admit it. I just want to win. Apparently not real sure what I want to win at, but win nonetheless. Okay, so, I admit on that last one, that's just my fault. I mean, it's barely out of the realm of cheating and certainly against the spirit of language learning entirely. I admit it, I'm weak, yikes. But I know I'm not the only one that I've seen on Duolingo whose scores shoot up in a way that literally can only indicate a level of cheating that is well above what I have thought of, right? But I hope you guys see my general point. Why even make it so that a different marker than points, just cumulative points, repetition, be used for success? Wouldn't this app, once again, I want to mention that I generally enjoy, do a better job of, say, I don't know, testing us on proficiency? Like you could give us points on how well we do on a test, right? That'll force us to learn, right? Rather than luring user in for more usage just to, because of our human competitive natures, right? I even get why free apps needs monetization in some way, right? But why rip off the worst tendencies of like mobile game development by using in-app purchase and not, say, with advertising that would easily sync with the language that people have chosen, right? After all, if I'm learning French or Spanish, I'd imagine I'd be very receptive to travel ideas or destinations in places that spoke those same languages, right? And that's just the first thing that popped in my head, right? Duolingo is not some small enterprise by this point. So boy, I hope they can do better and continue to improve. I mean, at the end of the day, I say this out of love, right? As I promised, a shiznit sandwich only has a doo-doo in the middle, right? Because I do really love using this platform, and I do it every day, and I wish it all the best. But please, gamify your app less, please. Okay. Cheers. I'll approach it.